Yeah, exactly. I'm technologically challenged. I apologize for that. Well, if it's a call you have to take, you know.
No, no, no. I just don't want to close to do that. Oh, there we go.
One of those guys should know.
By the way, we can just talk now and just
Well, they're
start talking.
working away on the laptop, so
Alright.
hopefully, would you check and see if they're ready? We're ready to go?
You guys ready?
Doesn't look like it though.
I know. That's what I don't
Yeah,
know.
let's see where we are here. I know what to do.
We're just waiting for audio visual to give us the thumbs up and we'll get started.
Let's see if I have internet here. If I don't have internet, it's even easier. I may need my phone back, Rivka, because it's not connected. You have internet here somehow? AGTA? Yeah.
What?
You have password for AGTA here? Do you have internet here? Do you have internet connectivity?
No, it's just staff under TCC_staff. There's no password for the Wi-Fi.
Love you. I'm there. I'm done. What I'm going to simply do is I go into Google and I'll ask. I'll say, how do you do this? I got ChatGPT too. It's pretty cool.
I have this and he has that.
Yes, I'll give anything to see you again. I don't want a mansion with a TV in every room. I want
I believe so. Well, welcome to the first day of the 2024 American Gem Trade Association Tucson Elevated Seminar Series, sponsored by the American Gem Society. Our first session this morning is quite the serious opener. We begin this morning with a discussion on the current state of the gemstone industry, including the demand for natural colored gemstones and pearls, market conditions, and regulatory issues affecting both the wholesale and retail sections of our industry. Our guest speakers this morning, Mr. Martin Rapaport, chairman of the Rapaport Group, and John Ford, CEO of the American Gem Trade Association. Many of you recognize the name Martin Rapaport from the Rapaport Diamond Price List, but there's so much more to this man than just pricing diamonds. There's the news, the online website, the newsletter, the e-blasts, the Rapaport magazine, RapNet, the online trading network, where there are over 1.7 million diamonds listed, as well as the trading and auction services, and representing a natural pearl business that you can check out downstairs on the floor. Martin is also a strong supporter of our industry, one of the founders of the Kimberly process, a strong advocate for fair trade diamonds, and has served on the board of the New York Diamond Dealers Club and Jewelers for Children. He's an active and vocal member of over a dozen associations, including AGTA and AGS, who have sponsored the elevated seminars this week. And John Ford, CEO of the AGTA, a gemstone wholesaler specializing in Australian black opal from Lightning Ridge, joined AGTA in 2010, exhibiting in Tucson and Las Vegas, entering and winning 10 Spectrum Awards, a member of the American Gem Society, and frequent guest speaker for both AGTA and AGS guilds. John has been an exhibiting member on the AGTA Board of Directors and has recently stepped in to the role of Chief Executive Officer for the association. Please welcome our two guest speakers this morning, Martin Rapaport and John Ford.
Thank you. I kind of envisioned this session of just being where we would talk about a lot of different issues and get some Q&A from y'all. Where we're going to start out is an issue that's very timely to AGTA. And we have our code of ethics, if any of y'all would like to see them, some copies up here. But and being an AGTA member is more than a show. It means that you make proper disclosure of treatments, that you don't make misleading statements. And a lot of times in the chase of marketing, you'll have where issues happen when people make misleading statements. I'm going to give you a few examples, and then we're going to ask Martin to comment on it. And I'm making these examples not from the jewelry industry. But, for example, I got a gift on my 1-year anniversary last year of being at AGTA of a fine bottle of Kentucky bourbon. And of course, the way it's sold is it's sustainable and sippable. It's in a glass bottle. It's got a plastic cover on the top of it. There's not anything really sustainable about it, but yet, of course, it's sold as it's sustainable. I was on a cruise this summer with my family in Iceland, and lo and behold, there was a bar that only sold sustainable cocktails. Now, I don't know what a sustainable cocktail is, but they put it in this plastic glass with a wheat straw, though, and it says sustain and sail. So we have to be careful how we're labeling our products because, yes, we all want to be sustainable. Litter is one of my pet peeves. But you have to understand, people see things they know don't quite add up. It can harm your industry. And I'll let Alex pass these around if he wants, or the code of ethics to show you. Other things that like AGTA members can't do is you can't make false representations of where your gems come from. You can't have people take a picture and say, I mined your gemstone or I mined your diamond unless it can be traced back. Again, the damage to the industry is when people make false marketing claims is it taints us all. So if you're buying a gemstone from an AGTA member or you're an AGTA member like Martin Rapaport is, and he says his pearls are natural, they have to be natural. We have an arbitration process where people can have the ultimate penalty if they don't follow our code of ethics, which are very strict. They cover everything from child labor on to host country, source country laws, import, export. And these are the standards that we uphold. But unfortunately, they're not the same standards everywhere. And I thought it would be interesting from Martin's perspective to let him comment on that. And then after that, we're going to have a general conversation on colored stones in the industry. Martin?
All right, guys. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good to see you guys here. And look, if I told you a hurricane was coming, would you just go about your business regular? Would you board up some windows? Would you kind of think where you're going? So we're living in a world that's changing. And, Alvin Toffler put out a book in the 60s called The Future Shock. And what he said was that the rate of change is exponential. I mean, you hear that when people talk about AI today, right? But not only are we experiencing technological change at an advancing rate, we've also got new generations of consumers. I'm always thinking, God help us from Gen Z, but I'm not against Gen Z. But the point, though, is that there are two major forces coming about, like hurricanes. One is the values of another generation of people that are saying, I'm different. I want to do things differently. I don't want to accept my grandmother's values. I want to stand for values. I want ethical, and Rapaport's values are ethical, ethical, transparent, competitive, efficient. Those are our values. Okay, but young people, not just young people, have values. They want to know where their money's going. Do you want to give money to somebody who's going to kill someone to get a blood diamond? Do you want to do that as a human being? You don't want to do it. And maybe, 10 years ago, no one really cared about it. Today, human beings care. And whether it's because it's too hot, because of global warming, it's a bang, they're hitting you. These people, our people, we people, are socially conscious at a level that has never really happened in history. Once it was slavery, I remember sitting in an airplane, and there was a smoking section. I'm the first very kind of, the world is changing, everybody. And so one of the goals, and I think one of the great things about the AGTA is we're thinking about change and we're trying to adapt to it. So that's one big trend. The other big trend is that people are getting older and they're living longer. There's about 23.7, I got to look at the latest numbers a while, million people over the age of 70. Gemstones, including diamonds, are forever. Little old ladies are not. So what that means is that there's going to be a huge amount of recycled product coming into the market. And it's so unfair because you think about these millennials, and I'm not against millennials either, but it's going to be the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man as we baby boomers, and I'm one of them, transfer all that wealth to these millennials. And the jewelry they're going to transfer. So here you got it, man. Tons of jewelry coming into the market, and I'm not against newly mined or anything else. And now we're going to have to sell these millennials who are going to be thinking about, hey, where does this come from? Now, can we know where gems come from? That's an interesting issue, and we'll talk about that some more as well. But someone comes in there and they say, I said something very controversial in a talk I gave 3 days ago, looking at it purely from an ethical standpoint. Guy comes to me and he says, I've got a synthetic, and I'm no fan of synthetic diamonds, guy. I don't handle them, I don't deal with them, you want to advertise them. I am against it totally because of all the crud that's going on. But if someone came to me and said, which is more ethical, and they showed me a synthetic diamond made from solar energy, and they showed me a regular diamond, I don't know where it comes from. Synthetic wins. And now you're not talking about all other shenanigans of the pricing and all the garbage, but you're just talking about what is ethical and straight. So the name of the game, therefore, is to begin to try your best to know where your gems come from. I don't know if you can go to the standards of crazy fair trade. People have all kinds of wild standards, but where is it coming from? Is it ethical? You don't want to do anything wrong. Your own values are such that you don't want to support scenarios where they're doing bad things to people, okay? But we have this obligation to try to do our best. And it's not going to be a flip of the switch, and you're not going to do it like other places. There's organizations that are doing things, but we have to know. And there's another very big point about ethics. It's not the product. People know how to sort product, right? You sort your emeralds, this is natural, this is this is that. You got to sort the people. So what am I doing here? Why am I coming to Tucson after 10 years and stuff? Why do we join the AGTA? It's sorting the people that counts. It's the people. People are more important than product. You need to know who you're dealing with. You need to sort the people. And so when AGTA talks about their ethics and what they're doing, and they enforce it, everybody talks, right? That means that we're dealing with a good group of people. And to me, dealing with people and what kind of people is the most important thing. I can't tell you how many deals we've had where people come to us and said, oh, it's a great business, and I thought about it, it was a great business. Well, after losing $500,000 later, it was because the people, they didn't want to make it, they're just not good people. Don't deal with people that are not good. And that's why I like the AGTA, because I feel comfortable in this environment, because I think that the vibe is good here, the people are good here, they're honest people, they're straight people, and I think that's the most important thing. So when we talk ethics, we can have rules. What I can say, an idea is only as good as its execution. A rule is only as good as its enforcement. And so if we have a community of good people dealing in it, it's a dangerous area, guys. There are goods coming out of Afghanistan today, okay? And there's hot wars going on. So, it's a dangerous area, but we have good people that I have the hope and I have the intention to work with people together and to find ways, and I'm going to give you a little statement later, to find ways to work together to meet the ideas of we can actually stand tall and say, we've done our job to make sure that the gems we're selling are when you use a sustainable word, they are good, they are decent from an ethical perspective. Yep. Back to you, Jim.
I had an interview, I don't know, yesterday, day before yesterday, with a foreign correspondent And we were talking about about AGTA, and I just, talking off the cuff like we're doing here, and I said, Happy Gems. And the guy looked at me a little funny. I said, Happy Gems. We're in the happy business is what we are. And when you're celebrating milestones in your life, anniversaries like Mr. and Mrs. Rapaport, or you want that gift to be something that you can be proud of. You don't want it associated with a false representation or that it comes from something that you can't be proud of. I like to say we're in a happy business, and one of the goals of AGTA is to help our retailers that come and shop with us the opportunity to buy goods that the tough questions are asked in the sourcing, that strict code of ethics is followed, laws are followed. You might not like the laws of certain source countries. I'll give you an example. In Colombia on emeralds, there is fees that go to help healthcare for minors there. And I think if all the gems that are legally exported from there, does all that money probably collected by the government go? No, but a portion, maybe hopefully a larger portion does. When you do things right, it benefits the whole. So that's what we're about. We're in a happy business. We want to keep it happy, and we want people to enjoy the moments in their life. With Gemstones from AGTA, we have just as many members that sell fancy colored diamonds as we do sapphires and rubies, actually. And we'll tell you our largest growing segment of membership, I don't think I've told him this, are estate dealers. That if you go out to the ballroom, you'll see the ballroom has one vacancy. It had 14 last year. The amount of estate jewelry in there is unbelievable. And it is because exactly the transition that Martin was speaking of is happening. And those goods are coming on the market. Some of them are being recycled as far as, I shouldn't use the word recycled, they're repurposed in Melly. And some of the goods are hopefully generational, and they'll find that next new home. So the market is changing, the world is changing. We want to make sure that we stay up with the times and make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that those gifts are happy gifts and that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's really correct. Look, what is business? How you guys make money? You add value. You can add value by having good marketing, beautiful store. You can add value in all kinds of different ways. Does it add value if you know where your gems come from? Does it add value? If it doesn't add value, don't do it. I mean, I could talk ethics and blah, 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 because you do have to do things to be an honest, decent human being and explain to your kids what you're doing, but we're in the business of adding value. Does social responsibility add value? How much? Will it? I'm telling you that I believe that social responsibility, and however it's reflected and presented, is going to meet that new generation of consumers that are coming up like a hurricane. And that will add value to what you sell. You can add value to a gem by cutting it, you can add value by marketing it, and you can add value by tracing it or tracking it as best as you can. That is the key. So the adding value story, if I'm selling you sneakers, like Nike, their share price once was Nike, went down like 50%, and their sales went down in the 1990s when they found child labor in Vietnam making the shoes. But think about that. What's the added value on a pair of sneakers that they're socially responsible? It's there, but it's an engagement ring. Yeah, engagement rings can be colored stones. What's the added value there where you're giving something to someone you love who's getting it, and the emotional impact of the added value of social responsibility on that gift is 10 times, 100 times the value of a nicer pair of sneakers. So what we're selling there for is, you're calling them happy stuff, maybe you think we're drug dealers, but okay. But the fact is that the added value scenario related to the stuff you're talking about is greater for gems than it is for other products. I just want to mention that to you guys.
Okay. I think we've kind of covered that subject. We want to talk about what's going on in the colored gemstone industry. On the regulatory side, we can talk a little bit about what's going on with the Russian sanctions. I'm on the USJC. He has been very much involved, and I would say I want to compliment him on his work he's done to try to simplify the process and the regulations for the U.S. diamond market. Now, when we say the U.S. diamond market, a lot of people think it's not color. But if you go in that show, in the ballroom downstairs, you'll see that half our members have diamonds in their case. And those diamonds are coming in from overseas. So I've been very involved in the process on the Russian sanctions. Our members automatically have to follow the law under our code of ethics before anything is quantified. And if somebody could bring a claim if they weren't. But the reality is it's been very challenging. Another subject I hope Martin will go in is some of his views on colored gemstones, because AGTA and Rapaport are working together on some interesting things in the future, because I personally see a stronger demand for color. I can tell you our show was record yesterday. Every aisle was full from 100 to 1,700. And I'm going to let Martin just take it wherever he wants.
All right, well, first about governments. Are governments ethical? No. Their rap is not to be ethical. Their rap is to represent the interest of that government. And so they make laws. Russian diamonds are very problematic because it's supporting the killing of Ukrainians, and that's evil. So the United States government says, hey, we got to do this thing. We got to stop that money going to Russia because that money is going for guns that are killing innocent Ukrainians. Good point. You got places like Zimbabwe. You got places like CAR. You got a lot of problems with certain things in diamonds. I know a little more. I don't know as much color as you guys do, but there's issues. So governments wake up one morning and they say, oh, we're going to stop this. We're going to stop all Russian diamonds from coming to the United States. And they adopt a policy of guilty until proven innocent. We're talking diamonds today, but maybe rubies tomorrow, and there's all kinds of rules here. So now think about that. So the government's making all kinds of laws with other governments to take on Russia. It's a political game. And now you've got a bunch of people in Washington deciding what can enter the United States. And they don't know what they're doing. Honestly, they're nice people, some of them, well-intentioned. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so now we have to fight back and tell the government and tell our congressmen and tell our senators, hey guys, what these regulators are doing in Washington has to make sense. And it doesn't always make sense. I mean, I can give you an example. The President of the United States issued an executive order with sanctions against Russian diamonds, and he said, diamond origin. So they take the diamonds from Russia, they cut it in India, and they import it to the United States. And we showed them. What?
They're Indian diamonds.
Right. Origin changes when you have substantial transformation. Does anybody think the President of the United States is stupid? No. But the President of the United States needs a relationship with Modi, who's the Prime Minister of India, who has 1 million people cutting diamonds, a lot of them, 30% of them Russian. He wants to sell those diamonds to America. He doesn't want to disturb his industry. So the President of the United States has to fudge it a little. The primary fudging organization is called the State Department. And what they do is they try to make it look like he stopped the sanctions, but he didn't. Okay? He could have used the word source. So after a year of fighting and raising issues and everything else, we've come up with the idea that now we've changed that. So the new executive order, starting the 1st of March, is going to be, even if a product is produced outside of the source country, it's still considered you can't import it to the United States. How is Customs going to implement those regulations? How is Homeland Security going to do it? So that's where we're holding on this issue right now, and I'm fighting like hell so that the people, not the bureaucrats, the people have a say. How are you going to control the flow of diamonds into the United States? And we'll be reaching out, we're running campaigns, we're doing all kinds of things, and next week I'll be writing to the President, Secretary, not so much Secretary of State, I don't like the State Department so much, but may say Homeland Security and Treasury, who really control this, and saying, we have a suggestion for how you can implement these sanctions, take a look at it, consider it, and then we're going to have our congressmen call up and say, hey, I need help here. We don't want sanctions that are going to mess up the diamond business and the jewelry business in the United States. So that's kind of where we are now on this issue.
Yeah. Colored gemstones. That's why we're all here in Tucson, the largest colored gemstone show in the world. Expanding market, prices unbelievable. You're all facing it at price hike, price. That's all I ever hear. I can tell you a lot of our members had record days yesterday. The most of them did. The demand is there where the diamond market has suffered as of late. Colored gemstones aren't. Martin has some interesting perspectives on colored gemstones, and that's why I invited him here. I want him to express those to y'all. We are live streaming this. We are going to have a save time for a Q&A session. So at this point, I'm going to let Martin,
All right, I'm going to make a
2 or
statement.
3 minutes. Yeah.
It's going to be about 5, but maybe 3 minutes. I'm going to talk about color. Concept of color. Color is about diversity. Diamonds are all the same. No, not all the same. You have fancy colored diamonds. I'm talking about colored diamonds too. Color. The concept of color is about diversity. It gives us endless options to highlight our individuality. I like red, I like blue, I like this one or that one. And also to have a personal style statement. You talk to a young woman and you say, what are you buying for jewelry? And she's going to think about color a lot more than maybe guys do. Also offering opportunities to identify with others. What's the color of your college? What's the color of your team? You got my rap hat here is red, okay? So Trump's pushing the red. Okay, I was there before. But still in all, color is a way we communicate. You might wear a color of your choice to stand out and be different. And you might wear a color of your choice to identify with a sports team. Color lets us be different, but it also lets us be the same. The very powerful concept of color. I'm not just talking about colored gemstones, color of your car, color of your drapes in your house, okay? Color is really important to people. Color is emotional and personal. We like some colors and we dislike others. Colors can make us feel warm and comfortable or bold and daring. Color is instantly recognizable, highly communicative, broadly used. Color is powerful. It just is. It's not because of you guys. It's not because of gems. It just is something that just sits there and it's there ahead of you. The colored gemstone market is waking up to new opportunities for growth as new generations of consumers look for ways to express themselves. They want something new, different, authentic, unique. They want something that they can personally feel. This is me. I'm communicating. The great variety offered by gemstone jewelry is perfect for these new consumers. It's really great. It's like wonderful. We're merging with their views and with our products. Developing the gemstone market is challenging. Colorless diamonds offer relatively easy ways to standardize and communicate the quality of the product. Not so colored gemstones. Color is complicated. We have not yet developed standards for descriptive terminology. Furthermore, everyone sees the same color differently. It's amazing. You know, our eyes, our perception. Women's brains are different than men's when it comes to perceiving color. Color perception is personal. And I said this thing about Liz. In the world of internet trading, our challenge is to create opportunity for color communication. Because they don't see the stone, really. And screens are different. There's all kinds of problems. We don't all have to speak the same language. That's a very important point. But we have to have the language to communicate what we have to sell and want to buy. Sometimes color terminology is associated with graphical locations, and other times with comparative physical colors, like pigeon's blood, cornflower blue or something. Let me tell you a story that Al Gilbertson told me yesterday. It's an amazing story. In the old days, and he gave you the name of the person. Let me see, what's the name of the person here? What was that? Nat Vineyard. I don't know if people know him. He was a member of the AGTA 25 years ago. So Al's telling me this story, and he says, you know, in the old days, there was a pin on your badges. There had pins on them. So this guy tells the story. This guy goes over, and he says, wow, look at this ruby, you know, and he wants to compare the color to what he wants to buy. And so he's looking at this ruby. It's pigeon blood, right? The guy takes the pin, boop, punches his finger, looks at the blood, compares the ruby. How about that for color communication, everybody, okay? How about that for having standards? Customs won't stop you from bringing your blood, okay? So that was an amazingly true story that I just heard yesterday morning talking to Al. Obviously, we're not going to be doing color communication that way, but you never know. Anyways, in the world of internet trading, the gemstone business is wonderful and diverse. Our people are as different and as exciting as our products. The diversity and mix of personalities, some of them wild, man. I love this. We're in Tucson, baby. This is not New York City, okay? And the diversity mix there, we must, and this is very important, we must not mindlessly develop standardizations of color communication in a way that diminishes our unique mix of people, products, and personality. Can't put us in a box. Colored stones are not diamonds. Colored stone people are not diamond people. We have to retain our vibe, our authenticity, how we are doing things as we confront this intranet world, as we confront standardization. So we got to find that right balance. As I head to the American Gem Trade Association, by the way, this is in our magazine, which we're giving out here, and it's the publisher's letter. As we head to AGTA in Tucson, I'm excited about the products and people I will see. I'm looking forward to having fun. Who has fun in Vegas? I mean, okay, they go to a show. I mean, really hanging out with people, you know. I had a Texas hat once, but I didn't bring it, okay? The colored gemstone business is a lot like the Wild West. It really is. I look at these personalities. Diamonds have kind of personalities too, but this place is amazing. And this is my main point. As we develop and grow the gemstone market, let's keep it that way. Let's retain our vibe. Let's retain who we are. We're cool people, and we're having fun, and we're doing stuff. Let's not become diamond people, okay? Let me put it at you that way. So that's my little talk about my vibe here and how I'm thinking about color as something special and different, stuff like that. So that was my schmoozeroonie. Over to you.
Very well done.
It wasn't that long.
Very well done.
All right.
What we see at AGTA, of course, is expansion in demand for color. And we think it's going to go into the wedding ring market. We think there's going to be some changes as far as what people were going for maybe created diamonds are going to go into color. We see that expansion happening, and it is exciting. We see the sales on the floor, both in finished jewelry pieces and loose stones that give us strong indications of the color market for the future. So at AGTA, I can tell you the organization is financially strong, and we're moving in the right direction. We're doing right now a very comprehensive study that we have a research university doing in the Colorado School of Mining, that we are exploring all facets of the supply chain. And some of the answers where maybe some goods are being possibly smuggled, and some of the revelations are good and some are not. But that's what happens when you have a study that's done without preconception. So AGTA is trying to earn the respect of the retail jewelers, and that we are doing everything we can to promote colored jewelry, colored gemstones in an ethical manner. And at this point, I would just open the floor up for questions. You can ask myself or Martin anything
I
you
want
want.
to say something
Okay.
about two things here.
Okay.
One thing is, it's not where you are, it's where you're going.
Yep.
The Kimberly process, we had a discussion, it's a process. Going to hell, but it's bad now, but when we think about what we want to do, we have to recognize that we have a goal. My Rabbi Riskin, used to say, he says, I don't really care how religious you are. Are you getting more religious or less religious? And so our goal here isn't to flick a light switch and say everything is perfect. And our goal isn't to hide under the table if there are issues and problems that we have to confront. Our goal is to enter a vibe of steady improvement. And as we all move together, some people will be moving more, they're going to find the way to add value better than other people adding value in terms of social responsibility. The trick is never to lie. I addressed a group of people in The Hague many years ago, and I had a bunch of spooks actually trying to figure out what was going on with, terrorist funding. And I said, listen, if you live your life so that everything you can do, you can tell your wife and the IRS, you're okay, baby, okay? That may be a little boring sometimes, but the fact of the matter is, you can't lie. You may not be able to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth because you don't know but you can't ever lie. A lie should never pass through your lips. And I think that's what you're making the point here about the AGTA standards. And I think that's one thing that I wanted to mention. The other thing I wanted to talk about was synthetics.
Sure.
Look, the diamond industry needs to learn a lot from the colored stone industry. How you dealt with synthetics, how you dealt with the standards. One of the first things that attracted me to the AGTA were their standards of disclosure of treatments.
Yes.
But you went through the synthetic story. You want to know what's going to happen with synthetic diamonds? How can you not look at synthetic rubies, emeralds, and sapphires? How could you not consider that? And amazingly, people just grab the money. They don't think beyond tomorrow or the next day. And jewelers, people got to make money. I understand that. But there's this challenge, this tension between being a really good ethical person and grabbing as much money as you can. So we have all these guys, the Bitcoin guys came into the diamond business to sell the stuff. And so when the prices go down, they'll leave. And that's what happened. I think there were great prices for, I remember, synthetic emeralds and all kinds of things. So that's something that I think the diamond industry has to learn from the colored stone industry. And then the colored stone industry, forgetting about synthetics now, how did diamonds become the king of the jewelry, of the wedding ring, for example? They have a more organized source of supply. There are reasons why that happened. And now the colored stone industry is confronting those challenges. And so I think it's going to be different. We're not going to be like diamonds. We're not going to have it the bears or something. But we, the people, have the power to do this stuff. In other words, diamond, oh, the bears takes care of everything. Okay, so I had a big daddy over there for a while. No longer, but I did. We did. There's no big daddy supplier in the or the advertising there. So we're going to be much more natural, much more cool. So
Yes.
there's a greater responsibility on the members of the AGTA and trade organizations to create things that will then make us more market sharey or more reasonable for what people want to do. And don't forget, you got the generation coming. You got the right buyers coming for you. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge. And so we have to do it rather than the mining companies or something like that. And I just wanted to mention, so we have to learn from them, the diamond guys. And I'm not saying diamonds are different, and you're making the point that we all have diamonds here too. I'm not against diamonds. I think that there's differences though. You got to recognize those differences. So our ability to think of what we can learn about how the marketing worked for diamonds, how different united. Remember the 3-stone ring, anybody? That wasn't like advertising came in that was just run from NWA or something like a Diamond is Forever. That was the industry pulling together, all selling the same concept. That's an example of something that I think the colored stone business can learn from, about how we can pull people together to all sell the same concept, all saying the same added value or something like that. Back to you.
Very true. 3-stone ring, diamond market, colored stone market, probably will never go away. Working together, bridging bridges is what AGTA is about. But I've had a number of people that have, I think, some questions to ask. So we wanted to make sure that we left time for that. So
Yeah.
anybody like to ask a question to either one of us? Yes, ma'am.
Kentucky blue sapphire, and is that a treated stone, a glass stone, a real sapphire? What can you tell me?
What type of sapphire?
Kentucky blue.
No, I have not. But if you, after the presentation, I'll take your card and I will send you an email or a text message on that. I don't have any specific knowledge myself, I'm sorry. But please give me your contact information. And the one thing about AGTA, we have a vast array of knowledge, and I can simply put it on our closed Facebook page and ask that question, and I'll get the information quickly, and I'll get it to you.
Yeah, what do they call this? Kentucky blue what?
Kentucky blue sapphire.
Okay. You need to do the following as well. There's a product, and then there's a description of the product. You need to think about that for a little bit. If a guy calls something a sapphire, it better damn well be a natural or real sapphire, okay? If it doesn't say artificial or synthetic in front of it. But they're using Kentucky blue maybe, like, I don't know, pigeon blood, cornflower blue.
Could be a color.
Right. So some people use a descriptive phrase. Now, thinking about how we communicate color, one of the greatest things that I learned starting to study this was that the name of the supplier is as important as what is said. So let's say you're buying a ruby and you want to know what's the color of the ruby. And we don't have standard color communications. I'll jump around with a Munsell here, I'll do this, that, but it's not there. But I know that this guy sold me a sapphire, say, 3 invoices ago. It was a 406. And I say, hey, I want that color over there that you had, that 406. And maybe he calls that all the time Kentucky blue or something, okay? So then you know what he's saying in the context of what he's delivered to you. So when we think about descriptions, we can't put ourselves in some kind of a box. Maybe we can use Munsell or something to give us an idea of the general area we're talking about. But it's going to be the communications of who is telling you the thing that they're saying. And always differentiate between the adjective, the descriptive terminology used, Kentucky blue, which may be meaningless or maybe something
I think
else.
it has something to do with bluegrass, but I'd really have to check my memory bank on that. That's what I will find out the correct answer for you.
Yeah.
I think it may have to do with bluegrass, but I don't really know.
University of Kentucky blue.
Yeah. Yeah, but
University of Kentucky blue. Okay. Like,
yeah, I think it's important to differentiate between descriptive terms
yes.
and the actual product. Is it a sapphire? Yes or no? Okay? And don't let them confuse you or mislead you using different terms to describe the color of a product.
I'm guessing that if I got a GIA cert, they're not gonna say Kentucky Blue.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, my second question
Ah,
is,
cool.
for all the gems, I know you know more than anybody, of all the colored gems sold last year, I should say natural and not treated, not heated, which gem appreciated the most?
Oh, wow. All of them.
I know they've all appreciated. Which one was, say, the most popular or appreciated the most in the last 12 months? You want to know what to say?
Yeah, I heard it. I would, if you had to say one specific gem, I would probably have to say, as far as appreciating, sapphire has been moving very quick, but so is ruby and emerald. All the major gems, black opal is up 50%. They're all up, but I would say sapphire will probably give you the most sticker shock as you're walking around the show.
You're putting them on the spot. Which of your kids do you like the most?
Personally, I like black opal the most, but
That's a safe choice. Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, they're all, but again, in general, I would say sapphire will give you the most sticker shock, but just in general, the price of gemstones and fine gemstones across the board is just, there doesn't seem to be an end to it. And there are transaction prices I've never seen happening before that are happening.
Yeah. But I got a strange thing I can say. I don't know. But if you want to know, everything is data driven today. Take a look at the average price, because you get the quantity imported into the United States and you get the value. Take a look at the average price of rubies, emeralds, sapphires, whatever you're looking at. See on the imports how that average price has moved over the past 3-4 years. That's how I would do it. I don't know. I'm not answering the question. I'm just saying to say, look at data, everybody, because we're moving into a data-driven world where our decisions should be based on data. So you can actually find that number out based on actual imports to the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
I better stand up. Nobody can ever hear me. I'm delighted about lab diamonds. Anything that'll sock it to De Beers, I'm for. De Beers has historically taken over new diamond mines. Is there any risk that they will start taking over the synthetic diamond or the lab-grown diamond industry?
Well, I can answer that. Look, first of all, De Beers is in the lab-grown business. They've invested, I don't know, $80 million in a new facility. Yeah, the problem with lab-grown diamonds is that you're riding the subway to hell. You're just going to, I am estimating between $5 and $50 is going to be the price of those synthetic diamonds. When your customer comes back to you after they bought a nice 2-carater for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or more dollars, and they see it at Walmart for $199 or $299, you're going to have an interesting story to tell them. So I would be really careful with the synthetics, very careful. But in terms of De Beers, you know, they got so many problems right now in the world. Their sales were down 37, their revenue was down 37% last year. And I'm predicting they're going to fall in maybe another 30% or 20% this year. So, you know, as they get less than $3 billion worth of sales, it gets nervous. So I wouldn't worry about De Beers. I would worry about what you can sell and add value to. And if you feel you can add value right now, but be careful with the lab-grown stuff, because I don't even call it lab-grown, I call it synthetic. Where's the lab? You ever go to see where they're making this stuff, okay? So they're great marketers. Why are they great marketers? Because they make tons of money. You make a 70, 80, 180%, or in some instances 500% margin, oh, you can spend money in marketing, but it's going to die because the goods are going to go there. You know, by the way, do you sell synthetic emeralds, rubies, or sapphires?
No,
Why not?
I don't have any.
I'm sure there's suppliers here. You know, my point to you is that the diamond gimmick is going to be short-lived. But I wouldn't worry about De Beers. To answer your question directly, you know, they came out with their wedding rings for $5,000, engagement rings, synthetic engagement rings. De Beers was selling them, and it was ridiculous. And then they stopped after 3 months or something. But you know, the bigger question is, what does an engagement ring mean? Or do we have a product that has conspicuous consumption? I'm guilty of one very bad thing. I want to sell diamonds or rubies or sapphires to rich people. And if you're a price warrior, you know, guy, I just, you know, go to Swarovski, get out of here, get out of my office. And I can say that. But you're a retailer, maybe you can't say that. But I would just say that you have to have your bubble, your space. This is who I am. This is what I sell. Diamonds are not for everybody. And I would say the same for fine gems. They're not for you. You don't have the money, you want to buy something else. Maybe now you'll buy a synthetic, and then in 2 years, 5 years later, you make some money and you buy a real one. So it is an aspirational issue. But I see diamonds and true gems as something up there, something very valuable, okay? And that's how I think. But the bears, they got their own problems, and they're not going to come into synthetics. They will try, but how are they going to compete with Swarovski, Walmart, Amazon? That's my.
I think he answered that very well. Ma'am, I think you had a question over here.
Yes. Fordite, also known as Detroit agate or Motor City agate, is a lapidary's term for polished pieces of finely layered bead masses from automobiles. So I just heard about this. I see some people here are selling Fordite at the show. I guess my question to you is, that's a lot of words to come out of your mouth, and as a consumer, I'm going to look at Detroit agate, and that's going to stay in my mind. So how do you balance that labeling in a way that gets the point out? Like, people might not go deep to finish reading the disclaimer part of what it is. How can you overcome that?
I'd have to read the FTC rules specifically on that. Again, the general rule is if the consumer would think that it's a natural stone and it's not a natural stone, it would be a violation because we have to err on the side of the consumer. So just on the face of that, I would have to read the language, but I would think that might be a problem because if someone who doesn't have the knowledge you or Gary or David have, if they would think that was a natural stone and it was sold that way to them, maybe they really don't know. I think that would be wrong. So that is something I'd have to read that a little bit more about, but just on the face of it, I would say it doesn't sound like a very ethical disclosure.
And that was not from
Right.
a vendor here.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
again, if someone wants to sell the chop up bumpers and put them together, and as long as it's properly disclosed, that's fine. But don't name it something that confuses someone down the line, and then they think they're buying something that's natural or it has value. What we want to do is want to protect the consumer. That's what we're both about. We want consumers to buy with confidence. We want them to buy more. Again, happy customers, happy stones, happy sales. Yes, sir.
My question is about the AGTA accepting members from outside of America and Canada. I think, with the internet age, I own Gemma auctions and open auctions, and we're approaching like our 2 million items sold on those websites, and most of them get shipped into the United States. And our ethics kind of align with the AGTA with disclosure and natural treatments and all those sorts of things. But we're
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little hard. Would you stand up? I think your main question is, can people outside the United States and Canada join AGTA? And then I missed the second part.
Well, I think as we go towards selling on the internet, we don't reside in America, but most of our stones that we sell are shipped into America, and our ethics align with AGTA with the disclosure of treatments and natural stones. So yeah, I was wondering if there's any course in the future for non-Americans joining the AGTA, especially if we're doing
Okay.
business.
We're looking at some possible affiliate type of memberships, but it's something the reason that we're in our enabling statute for a New York not-for-profit corporation is, and we're Canada in the United States, because if let's say someone that's an AGTA that has a booth, sells a stone, and they say it's natural, it's synthetic, you come to us, and we file a grievance, we settle the grievance, there's another grievance against that person. That person is going to be removed from AGTA. He'll lose she'll lose their booth out there. They lose something of material value under New York law. So one of the issues that we're looking at on that is we have to make sure that we'll be able to enforce our ethics if we go into a different jurisdiction. It's not just about them agreeing to a legal jurisdiction, it's whether that other jurisdiction would uphold that. So that is something that we are looking at. I don't have an answer for you, but right now you would have to be a U.S. or a Canadian company. And a lot of our members, I would say probably 60% of our members, originally were born in other countries and came to the United States and Canada, and they're in the gem business. Once you're here for 5 years, you can join as a firm member. But we are looking at that option. We're just trying to figure out what the fine details would be, because we want to uphold our ethics. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I know this is about lab-grown diamonds, and this is kind of a colored stones conversation, but if there's no other colored stones questions, I'd like to. Okay. I'm curious about how long you feel the natural diamond market will be impacted by lab-grown or synthetics. Because, for example, Cartier has said in the Cartier book that they were impacted by cultured pearls for 15 to 20 years. And then natural rebounded. I'm curious about maybe the speed of business or speed of information today, if you feel it will be shorter lasting or shorter lived.
Well, I can address that. Look, the idea of a new product, imagine if there was synthetic gold. Take your head there. Okay. The synthetics are going to show up. The key is detection and disclosure and differentiation. By that I mean, can we put it up there? So if I was to look at an M color, O color diamond, there's nothing around. I can use the Yehuda machine. I can use a lot of machines to test them in my store, and even I saw some portable stuff. But you can't tell unless you really put it in the lab and go through a much higher level of knowing. So they kill the lower colors because they're going to sneak in there. And people aren't honest. How about Melly? -6.5 sieve Melly. The cost of detection isn't high. But pulling them out, oh my God, it's like crazy. Okay. So now the question is, where does the market go? It's not so much where Cartier goes or De Beer goes. It's the question, how is the market going to relate to a product that is relatively low cost? Will it be suitable for an engagement ring? Will the dinner that you go out to celebrate your engagement cost more than the engagement ring? People have been giving people expensive items well before diamonds, jade in China, pearls in Japan, cows in Botswana. So the idea that you want to give something to someone, which is the essence of our demand for our business, that's going to go to value in a lot of instances. And in other instances, no. I walked in a store, I go to Swarovski, amazingly beautifully designed jewelry, okay? So women, men, buy it. Why not? It looks great. It fits, I like it, especially with color. It matches my outfit. It's this and that. So, but we never saw this tremendous development of the synthetic colored stone business, although we have all kinds of gems that are not expensive. So now we think about what will happen with the relationship between synthetics and natural diamonds. First of all, synthetics now have taken, I'd say, a 30 to 35% bite right out of the natural diamond business. The reason that De Beer sales revenue was down 37% last year, well, there were a number of reasons, but the major reason, in my view, was synthetics. Because you make more money. How could you get it? You have a jewelry store. You got to pay your rent. You got to do deals. You got to do business. And now you can make money. How am I not going to give my customer what he asks for? People have a real problem with that. Will it be sustainable? Is it a short-term jump? Probably for certain market segments. Imagine fashion jewelry, fine jewelry, and high jewelry, or more valuable, high-end jewelry. Okay? Now, there are different reasons that people buy. Different people buy. A lot of women self-purchase, a lot of men gifting women, a lot of women gifting men sometimes. Or I can't talk about men and women today because, I don't know, he, they, their, them. Okay? But the fundamental concept is, if someone wants to give something to someone, what do they want to give? What's the occasion? Is it just I went into the shop, I bought something that looks nice, I go with it? Synthetic may be perfect. And synthetic's not bad. The diamonds are not bad. It's the people that misrepresent them. But if we got good people, so I'm telling you, I don't think that the impact of synthetics for the high end, the emotional, is going to be retained because it's too cheap. However, this is an interesting. I gave a talk in Botswana about 7 weeks ago, And I said, I thought all of the fashion jewelry is going to go to synthetics, which looks like it's a, probably. And a young woman, a really smart young woman, she corrected me. She said, no. I said, why not? Why wouldn't all the fashion jewelry go there? She says, because the reason that people are so excited about synthetics is the profits. When the prices come down, all those guys selling Bitcoins jumped in. They're going to jump back out. What's the cost difference between having some fashion jewelry that is synthetic versus having fashion jewelry using melee that's natural? What's the difference in price? 10%, 20%. So she thinks the market's going to settle down to that area where people are going to say, even if it's fashion jewelry, not expensive, you might as well take the real thing if the price difference isn't that great. Where will the prices go? They're going down for synthetics, okay? So I think that initial reaction to synthetics to the market, which will probably last another year, especially in the engagement ring area, that's going to be there, but it's going to go down. Fashion jewelry, impulse purchases, yeah, that it's going to have, I think even though what she said makes sense, it's going to have a high synthetic component. Fine jewelry, welcome to the battle. That's going to be the war. That's going to be where we're going to fight the war. The synthetic, do I go natural? But again, because you can't tell that much, and we did research with women in pocketbooks. I forget, what's it, Birkenhouse, what's the name, Rivka? Birkin, a Birkin bag, right? So a Birkin bag could be $20,000, $10,000 easily. So would you buy a $5 imitation? No. Would you buy a $200 imitation? Yes. And I quoted Cosmo magazine in a talk I gave the other day where, what did they call it? They gave a name for things that look like it. And so they, it's okay. You're not embarrassed today. I wear this pocketbook. It's not the Birkin. It's $200. It's okay. You don't feel embarrassed anymore, okay? Especially among new generations. So we should be aware of that. And I think that synthetics are going to have a market. And they're going to be a good market when they're sold at the appropriate price, and then let the consumer decide. Let the markets flow. The markets flow. What time is it? I think you're too early.
Well,
huh?
thank you.
It's 9:57.
And we have another.
We have one more.
Another session.
Oh, one more question.
Quick question.
Quick answer. I think it's one more.
Martin, do you have an idea of what the costs are to cut a good quality diamond, so we have a relative idea of how much is the synthetic, how much is the cost of the production?
Okay, first of all, it's very different. So I'm looking at cubic zirconia, 2 caraters, at $2.50 a carat. I say, how do you cut it for $2.50 a carat? How do you do it? I don't care about the material. So they use machines, and they don't care how much they waste. So the cost of cutting with a diamond, we're trying to save every carat, every point, is very different than the cost of cutting when you're dealing with synthetics. I'm going to predict that synthetics are coming out like these not cubed wafers. They're going to slice them and dice them with lasers, and the cost is going to go down for cutting synthetics very low. If you're looking at India, it's about $60 a carat, maybe less in some of the melting, where they cut the cottage industry. Israel is about 80, 100, New York maybe even to 200 for XXX. So there's different markets. Vietnam is a very good place for cutting as well. And I think that's a big advantage of you guys because you're in those markets. You know Vietnam, you know Thailand, you know all these places. So I would say to you that for synthetics versus natural, the cost of cutting synthetics is going to be ridiculously cheap. But the natural diamond cost of, because you've got to save the material. And also it's coming in weird shapes and all kinds of things. That's going to be different too.
Yep.
And where's Uncle Gary?
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much.
They heard what we thought. That's the most important thing.
Okay.